Sign it now, Gabriella, before we change our minds about letting you marry our son. Diane Hartwell's voice had the silk and steel of someone who'd never heard no in her life. Her manicured hand slid the prenup across the mahogany table, diamond rings glittering beneath the chandelier. Behind her, Thomas sat silent, the same silence that had started creeping between us ever since his parents decided I didn't fit. His father, Richard, lounged like a CEO in a boardroom, radiating the smug confidence of a man who thought money made him invincible. What they didn't know was that everything around them, the house, the land, even the table we sat at, was built on a foundation they didn't actually own. I did. The meeting had been scheduled for 10 a.m. sharp. Thomas warned me the night before, his tone apologetic. Mom wants to discuss the prenup. Just sign it, Gabby. It doesn't mean anything. But it did mean something. After 2 years together, an engagement in Maui, and a meticulously planned 200-person wedding, they still thought I was a charity case, a gold digger from the wrong zip code. Now, surrounded by shelves of unread leather-bound books and priceless art pieces chosen for Instagram aesthetics, they were about to learn just how wrong they were. Richard leaned back, crossing his arms. Let's be clear. Thomas will inherit Hartwell Industries, an $87 million business. This estate, our investments, all of it. We're simply protecting family wealth. Diane added sweetly, Gabriella, darling, you're lovely. But you make $52,000 a year teaching second grade. You drive an old Toyota. You have no assets. Surely you understand why this is necessary. I glanced at the 23-page document, the legal equivalent of a slap in the face. It boiled down to, you get nothing, you are nothing. My lawyer, Margaret Stone, sat beside me, expression neutral, but eyes glittering with suppressed amusement. When the Hartwells stepped out for 5 minutes, Margaret whispered, Are you going to tell them? Not yet, I said. Let's see how deep they dig this hole. They returned with pastries, as if this were a brunch, not an ambush. Have you made your decision? Richard asked. I have questions, I said calmly. I asked them to confirm each clause. No claim to the estate, the business, the investments. They agreed, smiling like they'd already won. One more thing, I said. What happens if your financial situation changes? Richard laughed. We've been wealthy for generations, Gabriella. The Hartwells don't have financial difficulties. I see. I turned to Margaret. Would you show them my disclosure, please? Margaret slid a folder across the table. As part of any prenuptial agreement, both parties must disclose assets. You should see Miss Rodriguez's. Diane glanced down. Her hand trembled. This must be a mistake. Richard snatched the paper. What does it say? It says, Diane whispered, that Gabriella's net worth is $127 million. Silence fell so thick it hummed. Thomas's head snapped up. What? It's correct, I said. I'm the founder and majority owner of Rodriguez Capital Management, a private equity firm. We specialize in distressed assets and real estate restructuring. Richard's voice was barely audible. But you teach. I volunteer at my old elementary school 3 mornings a week, I said. I teach reading to underserved kids, because I can. It grounds me. Diane blinked rapidly, color draining from her face. But the mortgage on this house. Richard stopped her, staring at the document. His voice cracked. This says you own the mortgage on 47 Lakeside Drive, this house. That's correct, I said evenly. Your bank sold the note 2 years ago. I bought the entire portfolio. They both froze. You've been making mortgage payments, to me. The air in the room changed. For the first time, the Hartwells looked small. Thomas turned to me, pale. Why didn't you tell me? You never asked, I said softly. You liked the idea of the sweet, struggling teacher. You never wanted to know who I really was. Diane's eyes filled with tears. We were trying to protect our son. No, I said, standing. You were protecting your pride? You assumed I was after your fortune, while sitting in a house I already owned. Margaret smiled faintly and slid a new folder across the table. Here's our version of the prenup. Richard opened it, scanning quickly. His brows furrowed. This is fair, generous even. It's balanced, I corrected. Assets acquired before marriage remain separate. Assets earned together are shared. There's provision for children, spousal support, everything. Real partnership. You even propose investing $20 million in Hartwell Industries, Richard murmured in disbelief. I invest in family, I said. If we marry, we build together, not protect against each other. Diane's voice broke. After everything we said to you, why? Because I love your son, I said simply. And because I believe in building people up, not tearing them down. Thomas reached for my hand. Can we start over? I want to know you, the real you. Maybe, I said, but you'll have to decide if you loved the woman you imagined, or the woman I am. Richard stood slowly. Gabriella, we were wrong, deeply wrong. You were, I said, but you learned something. That's more than most. I gathered my things and turned to go. Oh, and for the record, I would have signed your prenup. They all looked at me in shock. Because I don't need your money, I said. I was marrying Thomas for love. That document would have proven my integrity, but you needed to learn what worth truly means. Then I left, walking out of the mansion, whose mortgage payments they sent to my company every month. As I drove home, to my glass-walled condo overlooking Long Island Sound, my phone buzzed. A text from Thomas. I'm an idiot. Can we talk? Really talk? I smiled. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., coffee shop on Main. Come prepared to ask questions about my actual life. His reply came instantly. I will. I promise. Outside, the skyline glowed gold in the setting sun. Ironic, really. They'd called me a gold digger. They hadn't realized I owned the mine.